What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to cover something a little different. I know that the majority of my audience in particular is geared towards the end game, but I wanted to make a video that is not necessarily for my audience, but could be for my future audience or a new audience that I could garner over time. And that is a 15 best beginner champions in Marvel Contest of Champions. Of course, this obviously could change in time, but I feel like these champions have solidified themselves as some of the best beginner characters in the entire game. Very easy to use, very simple, not a lot of stuff going on in the kit, not a lot of like nuance. It's just do the thing, the opponent dies, the end. That's sort of the name of the game with these champions specifically. So this is a video geared towards newer players to the game, intermediate players who are looking to maybe get their hands on some characters that don't require a lot of skill to use, but are still very effective. So this list is not in any particular order, and you'll notice that, especially if there are some endgame players watching this, the first character I mention is one of the best characters in the game, but is very new player friendly. But again, there is no order to this list. It is just 15 champions I believe are very beginner friendly. So we're going to jump right into this and start off with Hercules. So if you're a new player and you've been looking into this game, you have probably heard a lot of hubba about this guy right here, Hercules. He is one of the best champions in the entire game. And yes, there are ways to play him in a skillful manner, but Hercules as a champion is very easy to pick up. He has that immortality from his signature ability, which allows you to not die, and you go unblockable, which means you can break through the opponent's block if they're trying to block your attacks. Um, Additionally, he has stun immunity when he gains his feats of strength, and they're very easy to gain feats of strength, especially for a new player, just using heavy attacks, using specials, knocking the opponent down. You can easily gain feats of strength and build them up over time. Additionally, Hercules has a persistent charge mechanic for his feats of strength, which just makes him even easier to use in quest and content, because there really isn't a lot going on. You just use special 1, use special 2, whatever you want to do with Hercules, you really can do. And if you take a hit that might kill you outside of a special 3, because a special 3 will kill you, good thing to know. Any other hit, though, as long as your immortality buff does not get removed or nullified, you will be immortal and you will not be able to die. Additionally, like what makes it even crazier is you can hit the opponent during this immortality and pause the duration of it. So it just makes him super sustainable, very easy to play, and very hard to kill. So that's what I put Hercules at, towards, like, he's at the beginning, but he's like towards the bottom, because I do consider him a easy character to use, but there could be nuance added to the playstyle that makes him even better. But Hercules is a very new player friendly champion, and if you get Hercules, definitely invest in him at whatever rank you have. 4, 5, 6 star. He only goes up to 6 star. So if you have a 6 star, go for it. The next champion I want to talk about is kind of a newer character and maybe requires a little bit more nuance than Hercules, but is honestly still super easy and does not really require too much thought process if you just play him like a basic character, and that's Sentinel. So Sentinel recently got a buff, and if you're not familiar with what the term buff is in Marvel Contest of Champions, it's when a character gets a fresh coat of paint on their abilities. Now, Sentinel got a buff that didn't change his entire ability set, it just improved on what abilities were already there. It just makes him easier to ramp up, easier to use, and gives him a lot more use in like early player situations where if you need to heal block the opponent, you can use your special 1 and apply a heal block debuff. If you need immunities, Sentinel is immune to poison, bleed, armor break, cold snap, and frostbite. Very relevant immunities going through the early and intermediate stages of the game. And Sentinel is very easy to ramp up. All you need to do is use specials, bait the opponent's specials, and you're going to build up these analysis charges over time that increase your attack rating, increase your armor rating, which makes you tankier. It decreases the cost of power that your special attacks cost. So overall, Sentinel, he's just such a plug-and-play champion. There really isn't a lot going on. There could be some nuance. If you use his heavy attack, there's a way to ramp up his analysis charges even faster. But for a new player, if you pick up Sentinel and you get him as like a 5 star, he is going to carry you a long way in content progressing through the intermediate story content. So I think Sentinel is great and definitely deserves to be on this list. Another champion that I consider to be extremely user friendly is Colossus. So, Colossus is such a simple yet effective character. The only skill that you really need for Colossus is the ability to parry and use a heavy attack. Now, parry heavy is the only method of dealing great damage with Colossus outside of synergies, but I'm not going to focus on synergies right now. I'm just focusing on the individual characters. Colossus, when he uses a heavy attack, special and heavy attacks. If the opponent has a stun debuff, so if you parry the opponent, they get stunned. Colossus's heavy attack consumes the stun, and it grants him an attack rating bonus based on Colossus's armor. And Colossus always has a lot of armor. Additionally, his specials gain attack rating based on Colossus's armor. So not only are you gaining the attack from the heavy, but you gain it during the special attacks as well, just at a lesser degree. Colossus also has the parry mastery built into the kit. So he is a great champion to learn how to parry. You just have that parry built into the kit for beginner champions and beginner players. So I consider Colossus to be one of the most beginner friendly characters in the game. And if you have Colossus, you should definitely invest your resources into him. Another beginner-friendly character in the mutant class is Iceman. Iceman is a solid character, definitely pun intended there. Lots of immunities on Iceman and lots of really good utility. The thing that makes Iceman good for beginner players is just how many things he's immune to. To go over the full list, it is Incinerate, Nova Flame, Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, Frostbite. That's 6 immunities. That basically covers everything you could possibly encounter in Act 5 and early Act 6, like 6.1. That is going to completely bypass all of the things that would be causing you problems in that content because you don't have the champions that are immune to those debuffs. Iceman has you covered, and Iceman can take care of it no problem. Additionally, Iceman has this ice armor, which can allow you to tank special 3s while only losing 5% of your max health. Very useful, very, very useful ability. Even endgame players who use Iceman use this ability, and it is extremely useful and has always been relevant for Iceman. Just makes him that much more reliable and sustainable. Additionally, Iceman can inflict something called a Cold Snap debuff on his special one. All you need to do is throw the special and you apply this debuff. And Cold Snap prevents evade. So if you're going against champions like Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Nightcrawler, you can prevent their evade with this Cold Snap debuff. And you can just keep throwing special ones, no problem. You're immune to so much, your damage is great. You have these Frostbite passives whenever you land a critical hit that deal burst damage when they expire. And you apply some of those on your special one as well. So Iceman, just a very solid, very simple character to use. And if you end up getting Iceman as like one of your first 6 stars, that's a fantastic, fantastic champion to invest in. So Iceman, great character. Another fantastic character. I'm not going like in, I'm not saying number 10, number 9. I'm just listing out 15 champions. So if you're expecting a tier list, that's not going to be the point of this video. Tier list videos are good. Go watch them if you want to find where characters rank. This is a beginner friendly video. So the format is a little different. But a couple of characters in the Cosmic class that are very good for beginners. One of them is Angela. So Angela is a super simple character. She is essentially the most simple cosmic you can really use outside of one other character that I'm going to mention. All you need to do with Angela is use your special one, and that's kind of it. That really is the name of the game with Angela. She just has so much damage, and that damage is going to carry you through early act content and just blitz things down like it's nobody's business. Additionally, she has a very nice signature ability that reduces damaging debuff duration per buff on Angela. So that's really solid, but maybe not super useful in like early intermediate content. But if you have an Angela at like a 6-star level and you want to invest in her awakened ability, it definitely does make sense. Angela is super simple, like I mentioned. All you need to do is use her special one to gain a big fury buff and just keep hitting the opponent. And by the time you use a couple of special ones, the opponent is surely dead. That is also true for another champion in the Cosmic class, That being not Nova, Gamora. Gamora is a fantastic beginner champion. So easy to use, so simple, so intuitive, very plug and play. If you're familiar with Seaton Man of Legends, or just Seaton as I call him, the like icon of his channel, one of his favorite characters is Gamora because of how simple she is. She is so easy to get going, so easy to get really solid damage. You have access to both fury and cruelty buffs, and all you need to do to get them is hit the opponent. Light attacks give you fury, medium attacks give you cruelty. That's all you really need to do. That is literally all you need to do for Gamora. If you want to throw a little bit of like technique in there, you can use your heavy attack to refresh the duration of your buffs. So let's say you go for like 2 or 3 basic combos and you want to keep up those furies and those cruelties. All you need to do is throw a heavy and you refresh the duration of all of them. That's the name of the game with Gamora. Very simple. Additionally, all of her special attacks are guaranteed crits, and she has this ability in her base kit called Godslayer that increases certain effects during the special attacks. Don't really worry about what Godslayer does. It's just nice to have, and you'll get it on your guaranteed first special of every match. It doesn't necessarily matter what special attack you go for. If you want to deal some bleed damage, go for the special 1. If you want to inflict armor break on the opponent, go for the special 2. But Gamora is super simple. There is no special rotation. It is just hit the opponent and they'll die eventually. So Gamora is fantastic. Moving on to the science class here. I know I jumped around classes at the beginning, but now I'm sort of consolidating them into certain sections. A fantastic beginner champion is Hulk. Hulk is so easy to use, so simple. All you need to recognize is when you have your 15 Fury passives. And even then, you don't need to worry about getting the 15. If you just want to go to your special 3 and inflict a massive physical vulnerability, you can do that, and that's going to enter you into your Gamma Rage. But honestly, don't even worry about Gamma Rage. It's not super important. All you need to know about Hulk is that he does insane damage, and you can stun the opponent with your special 1 for a very long time. So Hulk is so simple. It's literally just hit the opponent, build up furies, use special attacks, and they die. He has so much damage, and if you have that awakened ability, there's a little bit of survivability as well because he has an unstoppable passive when he would enter his Gamma Rage, which is when he enters when he gets that 15th Fury passive. But you don't really have to worry about that if you pull Hulk as like a 5-star, 6-star, or maybe even your first 7-star. He is super plug and play, very easy to learn, very easy to use. It is literally just like either spam special 1s or go special 2, special 1, and that's the name of the game. That's the end of the fight. Another character that's sort of similar to Hulk in that manner is Human Torch. Human Torch is so good for early content. So much stuff is countered by Human Torch because he has the ability to reverse regen with his incinerates. So Human Torch is a damage character first and foremost, but he also has a lot of utility, like I said, with those incinerates. But you don't really have to worry about managing the utility or like figuring out the best rotation because Human Torch is super easy. Just do full combos against the opponent, use your special 2, use your heavy attack from time to time to fuel your temperature, which increases the duration of your incinerates, and Human Torch is going to do so much damage for you. Additionally, once per quest if he's unawakened, and then a couple of times per quest if he is awakened, he has this pre-fight ability called Flame On, and it allows his incinerates to be converted into a higher damage dealing incinerate that no champion except for Iceman is immune to, and they deal more damage. Like I mentioned, they're passive. So the flame on pre-fight is very useful for just dealing more damage, but honestly, it doesn't really need to happen. You don't really need the flame on pre-fight. All you need to know about Human Torch is that he's incredible for Mystic champions. For most Mystics in the game, you can use Human Torch and just burn them down, and he has great incinerate damage. So if you want to use Human Torch, or if you pull Human Torch as like a 6-star, definitely invest in him and rank him up. Moving on to the mutant class, or I guess circling back to the mutant class, a fantastic beginner champion is Sunspot. Sunspot is about as basic as it gets. You hit the opponent, you use your special 1, you use your special 2, and the fight should be over. That is the name of the game for Sunspot in basically every form of content outside of super long content. But for story quests and, intermediate level act content and like side quests and event quests, Sunspot is so easy to use. He is legitimately one of the easiest characters in the game to use. There's not a lot of finesse that goes into using Sunspot as a beginner. There is a little bit of finesse like towards the end game, but the beginners who are watching this don't have to worry about that. Sunspot is a fantastic champion, one of the best 7 stars you can get early on an account because he just deals so much damage. And like I said, you want to go for your special attack 1, which gives you a solar flare, and then once you use your special 1, you want to go to your special 2, and that should absolutely kill your opponent, basically guaranteed. In most like act content health pools, nothing's going to survive much more than that. So Sunspot, I feel, is a fantastic beginner champion and definitely somebody you should invest in if you get him. Jumping back to the tech class, we have Jack-O-Lantern, or I guess jumping to the tech class first and foremost, because I haven't talked about any tech champions yet. Jack-O-Lantern is very similar to Sunspot in the vein that he is so easy to use, and he basically has the same rotation as Sunspot. It is special 1, special 2, the opponent's dead. You don't really have to worry about anything else. Jack-O-Lantern has fantastic base damage, and he's so effective by just hitting the opponent. That's kind of the name of the game with most of these champions is they get their damage by just doing the thing you need to do in every fight. Hit the opponent. There's no special rotation. There's no specific way of like manipulating your combo. It is just hit the opponent, deal damage, win the game. So Jack-O-Lantern is essentially identical to Sunspot in the fact that you should go for a special 1 before going for a special 2. But with Jack-O-Lantern, you can probably skip the special 1 if you'd like to and just go straight to the special 2 and only do that. You will find great success doing that as well. Jack-O-Lantern, I've come around to this guy quite a bit. I did not used to like him initially, but I am a pretty big fan of him now, and I definitely see him being one of the best beginner champions in the entire game. Another fantastic beginner champion is Warlock. Warlock is even easier than Jack-O-Lantern and Sunspot because you just need to go to your special 2, and that's the only special you need to worry about with Warlock. You hit the opponent with basic hits, and you use your special 2, and Warlock will kill the opponent. Warlock has so much utility, lots of immunities. He has, Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, and Frostbite. He has an Armor Up buff, which is great for certain pieces of utility and certain pieces of content in early story progression. It's good for fighting champions like Havoc, who punish champions without armor up buffs. You can just completely bypass that. And a lot of other encounters in story content will probably require either some form of armor or some form of immunity to cold snap, frostbite, bleed, or poison. Warlock has got you covered. So easy to use, such high damage output, super consistent. Warlock, just a phenomenal, phenomenal beginner champion. So rounding off the list here, we have 2 more champions I want to talk about. One of them is Juggernaut. So Juggernaut, currently in the state of the game right now, which is January of 2025, Juggernaut is bugged, but you don't have to worry about that because by the time you get to this video, if you're a new player, Juggernaut will have been fixed. So Juggernaut normally is a unbelievable damage dealer. The name of the game with Juggernaut is very similar to Warlock. You just build up to your special 2 and you throw it, and chances are the opponent is dead. The great thing about Juggernaut is that Juggernaut goes unstoppable. And if you are unstoppable, that means if the opponent hits you, you don't get hit by their attack in terms of getting, the reaction of getting hit. The unstoppable consumes that. While yeah, you'll still get hit, but you'll be able to immediately hit the opponent and just continue your combo. Juggernaut is fantastic. So easy to use. He's just another one of those go to special 2, win the game. He's that sort of champion. And if you get this guy as one of your first 6 stars, you should absolutely rank him up because he will carry you very, very far in the game. And then finally, one last champion I want to talk about, probably, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best beginner champion to get, is Venom. So, you know what? I have miscounted. I forgot one champion. I'm sorry. Or I forgot 2 champions. one of them is Dragon Man. Yeah, I have a list here, and I completely forgot about two champions. I thought I was at my final one, but yeah, I forgot about two champions. So let's cover Dragon Man before I forget. Dragon Man is fantastic. He's super easy to use. He has this power gain buff that allows you to just cycle special attacks very easily. All you need to do with Dragon Man is hit the opponent, get them to their wall, and just keep hitting them. And that's the name of the game with Dragon Man. Very similar to champions like Angela, like Gamora. You just hit the opponent and they die. If you use Dragon Man's Special 2, you get a very nice Fury buff, sort of similar to Angela. It's just not on the Special 1, it's on the Special 2. And Dragon Man, he gets the opponent down in no problem. So Dragon Man, another fantastic beginner champion. And then the other character I forgot to mention, I apologize to all the fans of this champion out there, is Hitmonkey. So Hitmonkey is a fantastic beginner champion. He has guaranteed crits on his medium and light attacks. Not all of them are guaranteed crits, but a lot of his hits are guaranteed crits. And if you don't know something about guaranteed crits, but they deal a lot of damage. So guaranteed crits dealing a lot of damage means you get through content faster, meaning you can spend more time working through more content rather than being stuck in content because you aren't dealing enough damage to get it down in a timely manner. Hitmonkey solves that problem because Hitmonkey deals a lot of damage. So the name of the game with Hitmonkey is do full combos and use your special 2. That's it. You notice a trend with a lot of beginner champions. It's just hit them, go for special 1 or special 2, and that's it. That's all you need to do. And that's as simple as it gets for champions like Hitmonkey. But finally, now really finally, the champion I was going to talk about last is Venom. Venom is fantastic. I'm such a huge fan of Venom. He is one of the best beginner champions you can get because he counters Spider-Verse champions basically like in totality. So Spider-Verse champions really can't get around Venom, and you'll notice in early story content there are a prevalent amount of Spider-Verse champions that could cause you some problems with like evade and stuff like that. Venom turns that off, and champions cannot do anything to stop it really. Venom also has great damage from his bleeds, and you get bleeds by just hitting the opponent. With your basic hits, you apply these very nice bleeds. You can use either your special 1 or your special 2. Your special 2 deals more damage. Your special 1 can heal you if there are buffs on the opponent. But the name of the game with Venom is just go crazy. Hit the opponent, use whatever special you want to use. Venom will deal phenomenal damage regardless. And I'm not going to mention super specific things about relics here because relics could be used for another video. But the Venom relic is fantastic for Venom. So if you do have any sort of Venom relic, put it on Venom and you will notice a substantial increase in his damage. But that is going to be it for this video. Again, very different from my typical content, but I wanted to make content catering towards new and intermediate players who maybe are looking for a list of characters that that would be considered by at least myself to be very beginner friendly. And if they have champions in their roster that fall into that list or fall into other people's lists of beginner champions, then they can invest in them and have a really good time. So thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button, both of those things greatly help me out and they help the channel out, get more reach out there, and tells YouTube that I'm doing something right. So I would greatly appreciate if you could do both of those things. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.